Section 1.2, Evaluating and Simplifying Algebraic Expressions. A numerical expression is an expression consisting of numbers, so they can be positive or negative, operations, that would be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, and grouping symbols, so parentheses or brackets. A power is simply repeated multiplication. So for example, 7 to the third, this whole thing is a power. 7 is called the base, and 3 is the exponent. And what this means is 7 times 7 times 7. The 3 tells us how many times we're multiplying the 7 together. Evaluating powers. You need to be careful, especially if you're going to use your calculator. So take a second and think about what the difference of these two examples mean. So negative 3 to the fourth power means negative 3 times negative 3 4 times. And then the negative times a negative would give me a positive 9, and this negative times a negative would be a positive 9. So my product would be 81. This one, on the other hand, means negative of 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So again, negative 3 times 3 would give me a negative 9. But here I have a positive 3 times positive 3, which is a positive 9, which results in a product of negative 81. So it definitely matters whether that negative is inside the parentheses or not. You should be familiar with order of operations. Order of operations ensures that as we do problems, everybody comes up with the same answer. So we need to make sure that we do the order of operations in the correct order of operations. First of all, we must take care of everything in the parentheses. So if there's anything that we can do in the parentheses, you must do that first. Next, if there's any exponents, you must evaluate those. Next comes multiplying and dividing. And multiplying or dividing are equal, so you must do them in the order that they occur from left to right. So if division occurs first, you must do that first. And finally, we have to do our adding and subtracting. And again, it's important that you do these in the order that they occur. So again, if subtraction comes first, then you must do the subtraction before the addition. A variable is a letter used to represent an unknown number. Typically, you are not going to see E used because E actually represents a given number called the Euler number. You also typically will not use I because I represents the imaginary unit, and we'll get into that, I believe, in Chapter 6. And for obvious reasons, you're probably not going to use the letter O, obviously because it can be confused with 0. An algebraic expression is any expression that involves variables. So this is what determines the difference between a numerical expression and an algebraic expression. An algebraic expression, we're allowed to have variables. Evaluating the algebraic expressions. Now I'm going to do this for two reasons. I'm going to do this to refresh your memory on how to evaluate algebraic expressions, but also I'm going to show you because this is how I want to see your work being done. Even though you probably can do a lot of this in your head, at this point in our class, I want you to be showing me all of your work. So the first thing we're going to do is substitute the negative 4 in. When you're substituting a value in, especially if it's a negative number, it's a good idea to use parentheses. And now we need to do the order of operations. Well, we have parentheses, but I can't do anything inside the parentheses because there's only the negative 4. Next, I need to do the exponents. So negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, which is a positive 16. And now we're down to any multiplication and division. There is no division, but when we do our multiplication, we're going to get 48 plus a negative 20 minus 12. Yes, this negative 20 I could have written as just minus 20. And so now 48 plus a negative 20 minus 12 will give us a final answer of 16. Again, this next example I'm going to demonstrate for as far as how you do it for the order of operations, but also for how I want to see your work done. So the first thing we need to do is substitute the 6 in for each of my p's. Now, doing the order of operations, I have something that I can simplify inside these parentheses. But even with inside the parentheses, there's more than one thing going on, so I still need to use the order of operations. And in this case, the first thing I need to do is that 2 times 6. Again, still working with inside the parentheses. Next, I need to take care of my exponents. So 3 to the third is not 3 times 3, it's 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. My multiplication gives me 48 plus 27, and when I add these two together, I get a final answer of 75. Terms. Terms are the parts of an expression that are added together. Now it's key that you remember that they have to be added together. So looking at this example at the top, the terms would be 3x squared. The next term would be 5x. And if it's got to be added together, remember subtraction is simply adding the opposite. So this is actually plus a negative 7, so our third term would be negative 7. A coefficient is the number part of a variable term. So again, looking at the example at the top, the term is 3x squared. The number part of that would be 3. The term is 5x, so the number part or coefficient is 5. And negative 7 isn't a variable term because it doesn't have a variable. So negative 7 is actually just considered a constant. Like terms are terms with the same variable parts. In other words, they have to have the exact same variables raised to the exact same powers or exponents. So in that last example, because the x had a squared on it and the other x did not have a squared on it, there were no like terms. Simplifying an expression means we need to eliminate all of the grouping symbols and combine all the like terms. So in this first example, 12n minus 7n, there are no grouping symbols, there's no parentheses, so we're simply going to combine like terms. They both have an n. Neither of the n's are raised to any power, so 12n minus 7n will give us 5n. This next example, 8r cubed plus 6r squared minus 9r cubed, our like terms are 8r to the third and a plus a negative 9r to the third. Well, 8 plus a negative 9 gives us negative 1r to the third. There is no like term for the 6r squared, so we're just going to have plus 6r squared. This could also be written as negative r to the third plus 6r squared, understanding that leading coefficient of negative 1. Also, it's conventionally correct to go from the highest exponent down, so that's why we have to write the negative r to the third first, and then the r squared. Example number 3. Again, we have parentheses, but we can't do anything in those parentheses because t and negative 4 can't be combined, and the t and the positive 7 can't be combined. But we can use the distributive property. Remember, this 9 means we're going to multiply 9 times everything in the parentheses. So 9 times t gives us 9t, and 9 times a negative 4 gives us minus 36. Again, remember that this is actually a negative 6. This actually means plus a negative 6. So it's negative 6 we need to distribute. So I'm going to have minus 6t, and then negative 6 times 7 gives us a minus 42. Now, as we combine our like terms, 9t minus 6t gives us 3t, and negative 36 minus 42 is minus 78. And this fourth example. Again, our like terms, the same variables, so the a's are like terms, and the b's are like terms. So if we combine 15a, remember again, this is plus a negative 20a, so 15a minus 20a gives us a negative 5a. Then with our b's, again, remember that this is actually a plus a negative 8b, so negative 8b plus 14b gives us a positive 6b. And again, convention when we have different variables is to write them in alphabetical order. You're selling fresh squeezed lemonade at a county fair for $2.50 a glass. You spend $180 to rent the stand and buy ingredients. Write an expression that shows your profit. So in this case, you need to remember that you have to take your income minus your expenses, and this will give you the expression for your profit. So your income is $2.50 per glass. We're going to let G represent the number of glasses, minus 180. So make sure that you write down that G equals or represents the number of glasses. We should get in the habit of defining our variables. To then find the profit, if I sell 268 glasses, I'm just going to plug 268 in for the G and simplify my expression. Using correct order of operations, I'm going to multiply first to give me 670 minus 180, and this will give me 490. Make sure in word problems that you label your answer. It's a profit. We're talking about money, so make sure that you put that dollar sign on there for your money. And the last example. A store sold 60 DVDs. Brand A sells for $15 each, and brand B sells for $12 each. Write and simplify an expression to represent the total income from DVDs. So to find out the income, we're going to take the price times the number of brand A DVDs that we sold, plus price times the number of brand B DVDs that we sold. Now the first part is fairly easy. The price of the brand A DVDs is $15, and the number that we're selling, well, we don't know, so we're going to let A represent the number of brand A DVDs that we're selling. And the price of our brand B DVDs is $12, but now how many of those are we selling? Well, keep in mind that we're selling 60 altogether, minus the A DVDs that we sell will give us how many brand B DVDs. When we go ahead and distribute this and simplify this, we're going to have 15A plus 720 minus 12A. And simplifying this, we get 3A plus 720. This would be the expression to represent the amount of money that we're going to earn from selling a certain number of A DVDs. Find the total income if 38 of the DVDs were brand A. Well, we have our expression 3A plus 720. Since these are brand A, we're simply going to substitute 38 in for A and use our order of operations to simplify. Plugging in 38, doing the order of operations, 3 times 38 is 114, plus 720 gives us 834. Again, this is a word problem, and we're talking about income, so we must have a label of that dollar sign for a total of $834. Please be sure to go back to the website and fill out the form for this section. And if you don't understand something, please make sure you come to class with questions. I know that this example 6, figuring out how many of those B DVDs might be a little bit tricky. So if you don't understand something, please make sure you come with questions.